My name's Pete Watton. I'm the project manager for Learning from WOeRK, and I've been involved in developing OERs and understanding the organisation and work-based learning.
My name's Jane Collings. I'm an OER developer, and I've developed managing the organisation, work-based learning, and soon to complete learning skills.
Mel Parker. I'm a lecturer in education studies, and I've been involved in developing resources on the work-based learning strand.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is describing why you've developed the resources that you did. Let's start with Jane.
Okay, the resources I developed were actually prescribed because they're part of the CPD framework.
For myself, it's very closely aligned to the teaching I do around work-based learning. I've also seen the kind of transformative nature of work-based learning, so it was something I was quite passionate about.
Why did you feel it was suitable as an OER?
I kind of feel really committed to the fact that work-based learning, modules around that work-based learning needs to be wholly accessible for everybody in the workplace. That might be people on doing night duty, not able to access college, or people in other countries who don't have the funds to access these opportunities. So actually, OERs and work-based learning politically just seemed the right way to be.
Agree with Jane. It relates as well to some of the great educationalists like Dewey, like Freya, that have that commitment to making education as widely and freely available.
Yeah, I mean, and similarly, the motivation for me was that it did work for work-based learning. It was that flexibility around people's other commitments in the workplace. Mel, can you explain the distinctiveness of the resource?
I think around the work-based learning resources, I've tried to make them as reflexive, that is, interactive in a way that people will think about their own development and their own personal aspirations, as well as completing some of the tasks as well.
Yeah, the ones that I've written have had key links back to the workplace, so at the end of each section ensuring that the learner reflects on their own experience from the workplace and then brings it together with the theory, and that's actually the heart of the learning. The first resource that we wrote, there were rather too many PowerPoint presentations, we feel, so as a subsequent ones, we've got far more blended learning and multimedia into the OER.
And I think that was one of the distinctive features, it was the first one that the project produced, so it has become a bit of an art sally, but it was useful to put it up there, but in reflection there's probably things we would do quite different.
I think some of the challenges trying to distill a lot of information into an accessible format as well, not fully knowing where your learners are going to come from, what their influences are, what they're hoping from the module as well, so trying to kind of distill as much information to kind of meet those needs has been quite a challenge. Some of the successes, I think it's obviously, for myself, it's going to be a great resource out there to support some of the work-based learning activity I'm doing with students at the moment. But I think also it's kind of highlighted other resources that we need to think about developing as well to support the CPD framework as well. I'm thinking particularly around an OER around theoretical underpinnings of work-based learning.
Okay, I mean, some of the challenges has been trying to work out who your audience is, and to try and get in your mind's eye what the work-based learner is going to be like, and I think that's been quite a challenge. We tend to go for the generic, but it probably needs it does need some kind of tutor mediation to make it directly relevant. There's obviously been a few challenges in terms of IPR, and often it's easier to avoid them and go for something simpler. And I think sometimes there's issues around the sequencing, because you produce the material that needs to relate to another material, so which gets published first and how do you embed the links. So there's been interesting things around that. Do you want to do some of the successes?
I think on the work-based learning OER, we've got really good range of talking heads of employers, students and learners, and also staff who supported work-based learning, and I hope that that's going to be a real asset to future learners. We're looking at real people reflecting on their learning.
I think what makes the resource work as an OER in this context is it's great to have something to support work-based learning. I think it's very often it's kind of delivered where students or people are out there in the workplace. They might have a supervisor out there or a mentor out there that's trying to make sense of their learning. I think to have a resource out there to kind of support that and extend that learning in a meaningful way is what makes it so important, really.
Yeah, I think there's hopefully the one that's going to make the work-based learning module per se, titled work-based learning work, is the varied different types of technology that we've used, including kind of video clips from key players and stakeholders. We're still trying to stitch it together, but I think there's a strength in that because it's got other stakeholder views in it. So we're hoping that will help it work. Okay, well, I've got an easy top tip, which is visit the Learning from Work website, because actually there are loads of resources, guidelines, including where you can get IPR cleared resources and images for your OERs. That's my tip.
Okay. Personally, I found that actually from working on OERs, got really excited about their potential and the liberating kind of experience that can be for learners in the workplace. So I think my top tip is, give them a try and you'll see what huge potential they have.